Okay, so another Saturday evening, beginning of May, and I've been thinking about a set of teachings that are used in practice, in meditation. The 4 protective meditations, and thinking. And 4 protective meditations are Buddha Anusati, Recollection of the Buddha, Metta, Bhavana, Loving Kindness meditation, Asubha, Kamatana, the contemplation of the unattractive nature of the body, and Maranasati, the recollection of death. And these are, because they're all practices that the Buddha himself taught, but they are a later compilation, or bringing it together in one list from, say, later commentarial literature. And I think, in particular, because they are called protective meditations, so that's as how to protect the practice, how to protect wholesome mental states, how to protect clarity and purpose in practice, so that having something that the mind engages with, because that of course, in an ideal world, one could just pick up mindfulness of breathing and watch your breath go in and out, and then it becomes very quiet and still, and then insights just sort of blossom, and it's all very nice. But usually that's not how it works. It's much more, normal or ordinary to use the meditations, say mindfulness of breathing, and go through periods where it gets stale and kind of dreary. And similarly, in terms of the essence of say insight is contemplation of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self, and but if one, or certainly my own experience, and I think it would be the case for many people, that just sort of coming back to that and going over that over and over again gets a bit dry. And it's not that it's not right or it's not true. It's just the nature of the mind, that it's hard to maintain that, and it's helpful to have these kind of supportive practices, these protective meditations that help to shift maybe like the emotional tone of within the practice, where one is eliciting a different emotional response, so that like the recollection of the Buddha is its main purpose, function would be to be lifting up a sense of confidence, inspiration, even a sense of awe, really, and contemplating the qualities of the Buddha. Classically, it would be the 9 qualities of the Buddha. Say when we say chant that they like that chant, Iti Piso Bhagawa, Arlahang is the first quality, the one who's worthy. Arlahang Samma Sambuddho, awaken, self-awakened, self-enlightened. Arlahang Samma Vichajarna Sampadho, perfect in knowledge and contact. So there's those are qualities that one recollects, reflects on, brings to mind, and it arouses, or one uses it for the arousing of faith, of confidence, of that sense of appreciation of both the qualities of the Buddha, the skill of the Buddha, the compassion of the Buddha, the wisdom of the Buddha, the purity of the Buddha, as those are, say, those 9 qualities, and do kind of come back down to those qualities of wisdom, compassion, purity, so that by that Buddhanusati, the recollection of the Buddha, is a way of protecting one's aspiration, protecting one's inspiration, and that's really skillful. It protects the wholesome qualities that one is trying to foster and maintain. So that recollection of the Buddha the metta bhavana, the meditations on loving kindness, are a in particular, and again, a protective meditation. Thinking again of the recollection of the Buddha, it's kind of really protecting one from, say, doubt, wavering, a kind of a sense of uncertainty, skepticism, because certainly that's the human mind is certainly prone to those qualities, and in particular, kind of a modern societal norm is one of kind of cynicism and negativity. So that lifting up of a kind of faith and confidence is countering that. So it's protecting the heart from that tendency to doubt or to be you're really not. So that lack of surety, the lack of surety prevents one from putting forth effort. And the Buddha's effort is, the Buddha says it quite explicitly that this is a path of effort. It's not, one has to put forth effort in order to experience the fruits of the practice. The loving kindness, cultivation of loving kindness, is a protection against the very human tendency to aversion, ill will, anger, that kind of negativity. That is, it's very common. But it's really, really destructive. It's one of the things the Buddha points to as anger, ill will. It destroys our wholesome accumulations, our goodness that we have cultivated, the punya that we have accumulated, is easily dissipated just through anger, ill will, that aversion, acts, and of course acting on it, not just sitting in meditation and kind of just having a few negative thoughts flit through the mind, which is not skillful, but it's also that dwelling on we can obsess over the negative, the things that upset us, and we get very righteous about things, and we need something to protect ourselves, and so that cultivation of loving kindness is so important. One can see that, of course, at any point in history where that kind of anger, ill will, but certainly in a say in a modern society these days, there's it's almost like a premium is given to how righteous one can express oneself as if it's a virtue, how angry you can get at something and work yourself up into a righteous indignation. But what does that do to the heart? And doesn't really. It's not conducive to peace, to clarity, to well-being, to a sense of inner or outer harmony. So that a conscious cultivation of loving kindness is really necessary, supportive, helpful. And the third protective meditation is the contemplation of the, say, asubha kammatthana, the contemplation of the unattractive nature of the body. Normally, that would be the contemplation. There's 32 parts of the body: hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin. Just going through the body and looking. Oh yeah, because normally we don't think, we don't separate things out. And of course this is a protection against the desire, sensual desire, sexual desire. And it's what for monastics, it's one of the primary meditations that one is first given when one goes forth, because it's just, if one doesn't get a handle on that kind of sensual desire, sexual desire quite quickly, then the mind just, it wanders into areas that it's not helpful to the mind. It's not helpful to the heart. It's not settling, it's not peaceful. And that constant urge and need to fulfill desire, follow desire, gratify desire, always leaves one with a sense of lack. I'm lacking something, I'm missing something. I've got to get that in order to feel fulfilled. And of course that's the antithesis of peace. It's the antithesis of kind of stillness and clarity. And so that having a tool that helps protect one against that. And so it's a very ordinary, normal human tendency, but this is the teachings of the Buddha are not to normalize life, it's to bring one to a place of something that is beyond the ordinary, beyond the ordinary. It's not abnormal, it's beyond, well, it's sort of abnormal. It is abnormal to be peaceful, to be happy, to be still and content. I mean, that's in the human condition. That's exceedingly abnormal. But that's the opportunity that the Buddha is giving us, and so that having contemplation of the body and its unattractive nature. It cools the mind. And just thinking of hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinews, bones, various organs, tears, sweat, fat, grease, spittle. I mean, those are all body parts, solid and fluid body parts. And when one looks, it's hard to work up a lot of kind of desire and infatuation. So it cools the mind, it settles the mind. And it's that cooling of the heart that allows us to opt for peace and clarity. And so it's like, because sometimes we think if I just do this enough, if I just watch my breath enough, if I keep reciting my mantra enough, then somehow my mind is magically going to settle down, become peaceful and still, and insights will just sort of blossom forth. I mean, that's sounds good, but it doesn't really. It rarely works that way. So that learning how to become skillful in applying the mind directing attention in ways that help to protect it from these unskillful, unwholesome tendencies, and to facilitate to the fullest these wise qualities of mind, and those that lead to release and awakening. So it's learning how to be skillful and discerning in having these different tools and using the tools. It's really integral to the path of practice. It's not just knowing the teachings, but it's learning how to apply them, learning how to use them skillfully, so that one is really optimizing one's opportunity. And the last protective meditation is the Maranasati, so the recollection of death, and that's a protection against complacency. Because it's easy to become certain complacency setting in, or a sense of why do something today when you can put it off till tomorrow? And so we do that with our practice, and we keep postponing it, or we think it somehow is going to be better when we're in different conditions, different place with different people, different time, and then it's somehow is going to really work out then, when I have the time to be somewhere else, or I'm really going to get down to the practice, next week, next month, next retreat, that's complacency. That recollection of death says, there is no. I can't remember the exact quote, but it's sort of the Buddha sort of saying, there is no bargaining with death. There is no bargaining with the king of death, and that we have no idea when we're going to die, how we're going to die. We know for sure that we're going to die, but other than that, there's no certainly no certainty, no assured way of determining that, and that then it can come really swiftly. It can. It's like the Buddha saying that's one who doesn't contemplate death. Is heedless, and even to the point of that contemplation being to the extent of like each in-breath or each out-breath. That's how frequently or how steadily one needs to keep that. As the two things, the length of time it takes to breathe in or breathe out, the length of time it takes to swallow a mouthful of food, those are the... once you extend it out longer than that, then that's starting to be complacent, and when one thinks in terms of medical science, that's about they say the quickest one would, because one could have some accident where one struck by lightning, hit by a bus, or just a massive stroke, and it's very, very quick. And there's no negotiating at that point. So it's that lifting it up as frequently as using it as a protective meditation. So one is protecting one's sense of urgency, the sense of the Pali word is samvega, and it's pointed to as an emotion, the emotion of urgency, but it's not frantic. There's a sense of spiritual, it's like a spiritual quickening of the heart. This really needs. This is what's most important. This is what is of highest value, and that sense of wanting to protect that recognition of those things of the highest value. So that these four protective meditations: recollection of the Buddha, development of loving kindness, contemplation of the body, and the recollection of death. Those are all, and one can lift them up at different times and use them as adjuncts to the practice, supportive tools for the practice. And one would probably have a primary meditation. Certainly for myself, mindfulness of breathing, and mindfulness of breathing is probably the most common. And there are many other meditations, which would be the, say, primary practices, but these four protective meditations, or these four protective contemplations, are helping to support and protect the heart from its habits of distraction, habits of dullness, of losing the plot, losing direction. So then one lifts those up. So it's creating an emotional tone of, say, the emotion of faith, of confidence, of inspiration, the emotional tone of that loving kindness, compassion, empathy, a kind of feeling of connection with all being, a connection of love, concern, care for all sentient beings. So it's an emotion that one is eliciting. That's extremely supportive of practice. The emotion of kind of dispassion, of coolness, of that emotion of contentment and being settled. The emotion of kind of urgency, non-complacency, that emotion of a sense of a purpose and clear direction. Yes, something needs to be done, and I need to do it. It's not going to happen on its own. So that eliciting those emotions through directing attention to these meditations. These are ways of balancing our practice and balancing our approach, balancing our mood of within the training. Because it's not because practice doesn't go forward just in a sort of logical, step-by-step, orderly fashion, and that have it nicely thought out, and tie it up with a nice ribbon on top, and then you're awakened, enlightened. Well, it doesn't work that way. We have to learn how to train the mind and the heart, train our ability to apply a rigor of thought, but also a rigor of emotion, and not be pulled into areas that are detrimental to the practice. Or when we are pulled, do we know how to lift ourselves out of it? So those are some reflections for the evening.